there, welcome to Floating in Dreams. Today is going to be day number 3 in my makeup inventory and collection series that I'm filming for you this week. Today we are doing bronzers. Welcome to everyone watching today. Thank you so very much for joining me. If you're into eyeshadow palettes, essence and Catrice, and getting the use out of your makeup the way that I am, then definitely stay tuned because today we are going to be talking about every bronzer in my makeup collection. Now this is much more than just bronzers. These are all the bronzers. And then I've got some things lying here, and I've got some creamy things over here. Oh, this is a highlighter, which is another video, so that should not be here. So yeah, I'm going to be laying these out for you so we have a nice overview. We're going to do all the creams and liquids in this video as well. Powder, bronzers, everything that I have, and I'm going to be swatching all of them out. So if you're here for that goodness, then I hope you like to stay tuned. It may be good to know that I have fair skin, with a cool to neutral undertone, and it greatly skews my makeup preferences. And because I have been buying, trying, and reviewing makeup for more than a decade, I also know what I like. So if you'd like to join the Snow Angel Club, all you need to do is click subscribe down below. So those are all of my bronzer products laid out in front of us, and as you can see, I have quite a bit. And some of these now that I'm pulling everything out, I'm like, there are some old products in this collection, you guys. I cannot lie about it. I know, in fact, there is one that is expired, which is this, which is why I have this baby backup of it, because this is one of my favorite cream bronzers. So let's just start with the creams and liquids first, and then we'll get to the powders. Oh, and I haven't even told you why we're doing this today. So I'm going over all of the makeup in my collection from several categories, except for like eyeshadow palettes. Those I already showed you in August. But I'm doing this sort of like to decide what I would like to declutter in the end. And I thought I could just do that here with you guys rather than doing it by myself. So that's where we're coming from with this video. So let me then just start with the Milk Makeup Bronzer Stick in the shade Baked. This is one of my favorite cream bronzers. Actually, when I bought this, I wanted to buy the mini, but it hadn't launched yet here in Europe. So that's why I got the mini right now. And this just smells like Play-Doh. So, it smells worse every time. And it's very tuggy now. But this shade, it looks completely off. I know. It does. This does not look like a shade that I might actually like, but this actually works really well for me. Once I blend it in and like use a brush or a sponge, it works really lovely. And then I have a couple of other bronzing sticks that I'm either still trying out currently or that I know I love. So the M Cosmetics So Soft Bronzer in the shade Terra is currently in my Shop My Stash as I'm filming this, and I really like this shade. It's definitely a little bit more cool toned compared to the Milk. So the Milk one is far more orange compared to this. This is almost like against my skin. It looks a bit green here in the viewfinder. Not sure if you can see that, but it works quite well for me shade-wise. But I don't love the formula as much as I do the Rare Beauty. And this, again, look at how much warmer that is. This is in the shade Power Boost. And I really like both of these. But yeah, definitely different shades. You can see that. But I have said in the past how I prefer a bronzer that has a bit of a yellow undertone to it, and I therefore feel that the Rare Beauty isn't just lighter, but it also has a better undertone for me. And then for contour, I've got 3 different products. Contouring and bronzing are, of course, 2 very different things, but I don't really contour, and I do have a cooler undertone, so some contours work as bronzers on me. I know, weird. But this is from Etude House. This I got in PR. This is the Play 101 stick. It's got a highlighter side, and then it has the contour side. And I only like the contour side of this. Like the highlighter part, I know I wouldn't use. And this is okay, but it's very dry. So I don't love the texture of this. And then I have the Charlotte Tilbury contour wand in the shade Light or Light Medium, Fair Medium. And this looks so dark. Like, is there still product in the tip? Yeah. There we go. But it is, I think it's a good shade, but it looks pretty red. against my skin for a contour. Like, this is far too warm toned for a contour on my skin. I need something far more gray toned. And therefore I think that the Fenty Beauty Cream Bronzer this is the Cheeks Out Freestyle Cream Bronzer in the shade Amber. I mean, this is gray. So I know this works as a contour for sure. Like, look at that. This is yellow, this is red, and then this is going to be the true gray tone. So yeah, this is the only thing out of these three that I can truly use as a cream contour. Okay, so we're getting a rainstorm, I think, so I had to fiddle about a little bit with my settings on my camera, so I hope you can see everything just fine. So now we just have all of my powder products left. And this is where we get some old things like this I've had for absolutely ages. This, like, some of these are discontinued and you can no longer buy them even. Like we've got some things to talk about, I'm sure. And I definitely think that also here I'm definitely due a declutter with some of these older things. So let me have a look. Where to start? Let me just start at the top here. The Hourglass Radiant Light, Ambient Lighting Powder and Radiant Light. So this is a face powder that is too dark for me. And I've always loved this as like a glowy bronzer, but the last time I swatched it is also the last time I used it. So that's not a promising, that's not very promising when it comes to like products, but it is very pretty though. I love this thing, but it's so old by now. So a bronzer that has replaced any other bronzer, I hope I'm grabbing the right one. Yes, this is the Kiko Flawless Fusion Bronzer. And this, I feel, is one of the best bronzers I've ever bought. Like, this is so good. Like, the shade of this is great for me. It just looks so natural. It's got that little bit of hint of pink in there to make it go with my skin tone just perfectly. And it's very light. This is in the shade 01. So when I was going to do a full face of Kiko and I wanted to try something new from them, I spotted that they're now doing the Radiant Touch Bronzing Powder in 101. Now this looks much darker. Let me show you these side by side. Do you just see that this looks a lot lighter and more cool toned than this? This is more warm toned. But this has a bit of a sheen to it. It's more like, yeah, as the name suggests, radiant. But this did work on me. It does work. And I did like the way this looks on. It's not perfect, but yeah, I think that, again, with that more yellow undertone, I think it can work for me quite well. It's not as glowy as I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be more like the Hourglass one. And then the Charlotte Tilbury Cream Bronzer that came out in 2022. This is the Beautiful Skin Sun-Kissed Glow Bronzer in the shade Fair. This is so nice and light, so I have to give it that. But with Charlotte Tilbury, I have found that things are very often a little bit too orange for me. But this cream bronzer, I mean, hello, that's gonna bronze up. Like, this is what I wanted the Fenty Beauty to do, but I got the wrong shade. So I got the contour shade rather than the lighter bronzer shade. Oh well. But a Charlotte Tilbury bronzer that I feel is just not quite right for me is the Airbrush Bronzer in the shade 1 Fair. This just looks a little too yellow on me. It's a little too stark of a contrast. So this, as much hype as this has gotten over the years, and as much as everybody else loves it, and maybe it's also because, like, I haven't put this on my face yet, so I don't know, but this, like, it almost disappears, like, it looks like a face powder here. Yeah, I think this will do just a little bit more for me. And then some more Charlotte Tilbury. This is the Film Star Bronze and Glow. I mainly bought this because of the bronzer side. I like the highlighter. I'll swatch the highlighter out in the highlighter video that I will be doing. But the bronzer, this is my perfect Charlotte Tilbury bronzer. It just is. Like, this is a contour for most people, but for me, this is like perfect bronzing shade right there. And then these two guys from Catrice. These are some of the best bronzers I've ever tried. They very much remind me of the Physicians Formula bronzer. My packaging broke, which is why I got rid of it. These are the holiday skin bronzers in Off to the Island and Summer in the City, or it's the other way around. I always forget which one is which. I have both shades because this darker one is great for me in the summertime and the lighter one is great for me in the winter time. There is one issue with these though, and that's that they smell quite strongly. So I tend to close these as quickly as I can, and then I find it not too bothersome. I've heard people tell me like, I can't understand you love that product because it smells so strongly. So I have my perfect winter shade and my perfect summer shade in both of these. So yeah, that's pretty much, I could get rid of all of these and just keep these two Catrice ones, and I can do bronzer year round. Then we have some very old things. This is the Makeup Forever Pro Bronze Fusion in 20M, I believe. Look at that. I mean, there's hard pan in this, but it still works. But this is just getting so dry, and you can just see how much I love this. I've been trying to pan this for years, but I've never really managed. And this is the bronzer that made me realize that a more yellow undertone bronzer is where it's at for me. Like, do you see? It just still swatches fine. It still works fine if I use it. But I don't need to repurchase this because it's old, because they still sell this, actually. It's not discontinued. You can still buy this product. So if you're fair-skinned and you're looking for a good bronzer, maybe try this. It's like a cream to powder formula, very easy to manage. And then the Too Faced Milk Chocolate Soleil. I used to use this together with the Hourglass Radiant Light Powder. And then I use this as contour, because this as a bronzer on me has never worked, because it's far too patchy for me. So this never worked, but I've got a huge dent in this. I've never managed to hit pan on it for some reason. Yeah, this is super light, really fair skin. This still smells like cocoa. Still, till this day. But I think it's just fair to say that this may just have to go. This I feel on the fence about, the Urban Decay Beach Bronzer in the shade Sun Kissed. They came out with two shades. This is the lighter one of the two. And this is one of the very few true reddish tone bronzers that I have. So I don't have too many of those. And that's why this one always survives declutters. But I've had this for a while, and I haven't used it in such a long time. Oh, it looks a lot more sheer in a swatch than I remember it being. Like, in my brain, this is a very intense shade. Maybe you should just, oh, that's very pretty actually. Huh. See, this is why I don't swatch in declutters and why I do this separately, because if I swatch things, I want to keep everything. Moving some things up. My OG, another very well-loved bronzer that I still haven't hit pan on despite trying very hard. The Balm Take Home the Bronze bronzer in the shade Oliver, sadly discontinued. Sadly. And look at my, like, look at this. Can you see how much use? Oh man. I use it again this summer. Like, you can especially see it here on the side, how much I've used. Like, there's just such a big dip in this pan. I think I can use this up or hit pan on this at some point for sure. Like, but this is so well loved that I could also not give this away to anyone else in my right mind because it's just so used. But this shade is so perfect. Yeah, I could never get rid of that ever, no matter how old it is. The Solar Powder Bronzer from Soap & Glory was sadly discontinued, and last year I hit pan. So I think I did a good enough job. This was the first bronzer I ever tried that I felt really worked for me. But the darker shade is harder pressed than the lighter shade, which is why I've hit pan on the lighter shade and not the darker one. That just takes longer to, you know, use up. But I definitely tried to swirl the two shades together as much as I could. But I feel by now, maybe also because it's a little old, the deeper shade has hit a bit of hard pan, it seems. So I'm mainly getting the lighter shade. And this one has also withstand so many of my declutters. The Too Faced Sweethearts Bronzer. This is in the shade Sweet Tea. Again, you can tell where I swatched it the last time I did a video like this, because I haven't reached for it. It's a little bit too dark. But in terms of like a glowy bronzer, like, this is still so good. But oh, look at how intense that is. Far too dark for me. Another favorite, the Nabla Skin Glazing Bronzer in the shade Ombre. I, again, have to apologize for what this looks like, because this looks in a right old state. But this is my replacement for the Makeup Forever. This is another, like, cream to powder formula. This is lovely. This is in the shade Ombre. Did I already say that? And I just love this shade. I really do. My hand is a little bit damp from my swatching, so I'm getting a little bit more intensity out of these swatches. But this, oh, rest in peace, Becca. The Bali Sands. This is their Sunlit Bronzer. Shade is Bali Sands, and this is one of my favorite all-time bronzers, so I'm not going to get rid of this. This is another one that's on the wish list to like hit pan on. Get as much use out of it as I can. This is a sheer formula, as you can see. Not that intense, but that's why it works. I put this in a Shop My Stash again a few months ago and I fell in love with it all over again. And then the Dior. This is their Dior Forever Natural Bronze Bronzer in the shade 0410 Bronze. And this looks like it's going to be too dark for me. But this is, again, beautiful in a swatch. It used to have the name Dior embedded in the pan. That's completely disappeared because of how much I've used it. This was an instant hint when I tried it. And this is a bronzer with a cooler undertone. It's definitely a little bit pink leaning, especially here. If I look at it in the viewfinder, very lovely shade. And another one that I love, the Fenty Beauty Sunstalker Bronzer in the shade In the Sun. Again, I have to apologize for what this looks like because this looks absolutely atrocious. This had hard pan, I scraped it off. It works beautifully again. And this, yeah, this is another one that's on the I'd like to hit pan on this list. And this is, again, super sheer, very buildable, great shade. Love this. And then we have these three left. Now, technically, this isn't a bronzer. This is the V Shading Contour Powder from Terra. This is in their shade Almond Brown. And this works like a bronzer on me. And it's very pretty. Let me see if I can get, like, all three of the shades together down here. Like, this is so pretty. Like, look at that. So perfect. So... and that's a good one as well. And that's, I think I bought it as part of a full face of K-Beauty. And then this is the Essence Hello Good Stuff Matte and Glow Bronzer in the shade Cocoa Cool. I like keeping Essence and Catrice products around in my collection, but this is a bronzer I just never think of even owning. But this is a very lovely shade, but I have been told that this lighter top part, it tends to wear down more quickly than a bottom half. So it's very similar to the Soap and Glory in that sense. But this is a very beautiful product. I just never think of owning this because I have so many other products I like. And finally, the Hoola Light Bronzer from Benefit, which I've had for ages. And yeah, this one I'm very much, again, should I declutter this? I think it's a similar shade to the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Bronzer, and I don't love that shade. So maybe I should just get rid of this at some point. I don't know. So those were all of the bronzers I have in my collection. So thank you so very much for being here. If you'd like to see my top 10 favorite bronzers, I made a bit of an overview over on my Shop My Shelf. So you can click the link in the description box down below that says Shop My Favorites. And if you were to make a purchase through that, then I could make a bit of a commission because it is an affiliate link program. Just thought I'd throw it out there. So yeah, we still have a couple of these left. We still have highlighters left, blushes, and lipsticks. So if you'd like to stay tuned for more, I post another one of these tomorrow. But of course, I have a lot more content coming your way as well. So thank you so very much for joining me. And then I hope to see you in my next video. Bye-bye.